Well, hello Internet, and welcome to part 20 of my How to Make Video Games tutorial series. In this part of the tutorial, we're going to cover how to use multiple audio sources, how to manipulate sounds, how to set up the UI, how to have Miss Pac-Man eat dots, how to update scores, and a whole bunch more. Like always, all the images as well as all the code used in this tutorial is available in the description underneath this video, and I have a lot to do, so let's get into it. Okay, so here we are back inside of Unity. So the very first thing we're going to need to do here is go into Create. We're going to create our Sound Manager. So I'm going to come in here and go Create Empty, and I'm going to click on this guy, and I'm going to name it Sound Manager. And if at any point in time I'm going too quickly or you're having trouble seeing, you could view it full screen or hit the pause button. So what I'm going to do here with my Sound Manager, first off, is I'm going to come over here where it says Add Component. We're going to use multiple audio sources this time. So I'm going to click on audio source, and then I'm going to create another audio source, and then come down here and create another audio source. One of them is going to be Pac-Man eating, one of them is going to be the ghosts moving, and one of them is just going to be used to play one-shot sound effects. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and get all of my different sounds, and let's just go and get this, and I'm going to grab those guys and drag them over into my sounds folder right there. Alright, so they're inside of there, and click and you can see them. And then like I said, the first audio source is going to deal with Pac-Man moving, so I'm going to go eating dots is what that's called. So audio clip there, this is going to be the ghosts moving, so ghosts move, and then the other one will not have an audio clip. I'm going to set this to off for play on awake, and I'm going to shut this one off, play on awake, and that just simply means it's going to automatically play as soon as it starts up. And I think that's good. I'm going to set up a lot of other stuff inside of the script. So I'm going to come in here to the scripts area and click on that and go create C# script, and I'm going to name this Sound Manager, and then I'm going to double click on Sound Manager. So what do I need inside of my Sound Manager? Well, I want to verify that there's only ever going to be one Sound Manager in my game. So to do that, I'm going to create what's called a singleton. I've done this in just about every other tutorial I've done so far, so this is old hat for you guys. And if you haven't watched the previous parts of this tutorial, definitely watch those first. So we'll set that to null. What else am I going to need? I'm going to need a reference to all of my audio clips. So we'll go and get audio clip, and I'm just going to use the lowercase version of the audio clip's name inside of here for the name. So this is going to be eating dots, and I have 4 or 5 total, so I'm just going to copy this. And there's 5 of them, and then I'll just come in here and put the names inside of it. So this is going to be eating ghost. That's going to be whenever the noise played whenever Pac-Man eats a ghost. We're going to have ghost move. That is going to be the sound the ghost makes whenever it's moving. Pac-Man dies. I know it's Miss Pac-Man, but whatever. I'm just calling it Pac-Man dies. And that's the sound it plays whenever Miss Pac-Man dies. And then we're going to have Power Up Eating. That's going to be the sound that plays whenever Pac-Man eats one of the pills so that he can eat, or Miss Pac-Man. Bye, bye, bye. You know what I mean. Alright, anything else I need? Yes. I'm also going to have multiple different audio sources, like I said previously. So I'm going to have an audio source used for Pac-Man, or Miss Pac-Man eating ghosts. So we'll call this audio source, and we will call this Pac-Man audio source. And I'm going to have 3 of those. So I'm also going to have one for the ghosts, and I'm going to have another one just for playing one-shot sound effects. So we'll do this, and then this is going to be ghost audio source, and then this guy right here is going to be one-shot audio source. Okay, so I have all those set up. Now I can do some more initialization inside of start. And what I'm going to do inside of here, the same thing that I've always done. I'm going to go if instance, I did call this instance up here, correct? Yes, uppercase instance is equal to null. Well, then that means I don't have a sound manager, so I'm going to create one. So I'm going to go instance is equal to this, else if instance is not equal to this. Well, in that situation, I'm going to destroy the version or this sound manager that was created. So we'll just say destroy game object, which is this. All right, just like I did in all the previous parts of the tutorial. Now I'm using multiple different audio sources, and how you can grab all of them is you just go audio source, and this is going to be an array of audio sources, and then you can go audio sources is equal to get components, and this is components, so that's that guy right there, and then I'm going to put audio source inside of there, and it's going to grab every audio source and throw them inside of this array. And the way it's set up is it's going to grab the first one listed, then the second one, then the third. What I mean by that is Sound Manager, it's going to grab this one, the eating dots first, then Ghost Move, and then the one-shot audio source, and put them in that order inside of the array. And then I can just assign those to the audio sources I have. So Pac-Man audio source is going to be equal to audio sources, and then 0. So there we are. We grab that one, and we can come in here and grab this and copy it and initialize those. And then we'll go Ghost audio source. And there that is, and then that's going to be the second one, and then we will have the one-shot audio source, and that's going to be number 2. Okay, so we got all those assigned. I'm also going to call that I want my Pac-Man eating sound to start playing immediately. I'm going to use a function called play clip on loop, and this is going to be called anytime that I want a audio source, or I want a clip to play on a loop. Okay, so it's pretty simple. Pac-Man audio source, and I'm going to say eating dots is what I want to play. That is going to be the name of the file that I want to play anyway. And I have to create play clip on loop here, and that's just a reference to this, eating dots, okay, that audio clip. I don't believe I needed to update with this, so I'll just get rid of that. I'm going to come in here and provide the option to play any sound effect that gets thrown inside of here. So play one shot, and it's just going to get an audio clip, and it's going to play that audio clip. So there that is. And one shot audio source and play one shot and throw the clip inside of there. And that's all that guy's gonna do. Then I gotta do play clip on loop. So come down here and create that as well. That is going to be public void play clip on loop, and it's going to receive an audio source, and we'll just call this AS. It has to be a capital S, and then it's also going to get an audio clip sent to it. So audio clip, and let's just call that clip. Then what we're going to do is we're going to define everything. So very first thing I want to do is make sure we have an audio source and a clip to play. So I'm going to go a audio source, make sure it's not equal to null, and make sure that the clip is not equal to null. If both of those are true, then we are going to play it. So the very first thing I want to do is set the sound to play on a loop. So I'm going to go audio source and loop, and that's going to be equal to true. Another thing I want to do is I want to set the volume for the sound. I was just asked today, how do you set the volume? This is how you set the volume. Of course, I told that person, but whatever. So here we are, and let's set it down to a lower volume. What else? I can set the clip to play, of course. So there it is, and clip is, you know, there's the clip that I want to play whenever we play it. And then finally, if I want the audio source to play out of my speakers, I just call play on it. All right, so there we are with that as well. What else am I going to do? Well, I'd like to provide a very easy way for the user to pause the Pac-Man eating sound. So I'm going to go public and void and pause Pac-Man eating. Oh, let's just call it pause Pac-Man. That's good enough. So anytime this is called, what it's going to do is it's going to say if we have to verify first off that Pac-Man audio source is not equal to null. And we have to also verify that Pac-Man audio source is playing. If you don't do that, that's going to cause errors. So make sure you always do those two things. And if they are both true, then I'm going to say Pac-Man audio source and stop. So pretty simple stuff. I'm also going to want, if I give it a way to pause it, I want to give it a way to unpause Pac-Man. So we'll call this public void unpause Pac-Man. Once again, I'm going to do something quite similar. So let's just come up here and copy this and jump in there, paste that in there. I'm going to check that the audio source is not equal to null. And I'm also going to check that it is not playing in this situation. So I'm going to say, throw that in there and just switch that not around. If it is, then I'm going to say play. Simple stuff, right? And there we go. What else am I going to do? Well, I'm going to also want to restart the Pac-Man eating sound. Or actually, I want to do the same thing for the ghosts. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy this and then change all the stuff that's Pac-Man into ghosts. Make it really simple. So we'll just come in here and we'll just copy all that. So there that is, and we can maybe come in here and go ghost, whoops, ghost off, just to make sure that I know. And there we are, and paste that in there, and then we'll change the name of this. So it's going to be pause ghost, and then this is going to be ghost audio source. So ghost audio source, let's just copy ghost right here. So there that is, and paste that in there, and paste ghost here, unpause ghost, and there that is, and then we'll paste the ghost inside of here, and then we will be done, and our sound manager will be all set up. Good stuff. Okay, so we'll save that, and then what we're going to do is we are going to start playing around with Miss Pac-Man to make her work with the sounds. Alright, so inside of Miss Pac-Man, actually, while I am thinking about it right now, I'm also going to go in here and go using and Unity engine.ui and throw that in there because I know that I'm going to be manipulating the GUI interface, so I want to change that right now so I don't forget about it. Then what am I going to do? I'm going to come after the pause sprite here, put some new stuff in here. I'm going to have to get a reference to the sound manager for my functions, because I'm going to be calling a lot of sound manager functions from inside of here. So just go sound manager, and let's just call that sound manager just to be creative. I might want to get references to the individual sound bytes and put them inside here. This class is getting a little bit messy, but you know. So what I want to do here is have eating ghost, that audio clip. I might feel, you know, the need to have that go. I don't know what I'm going to do. All right, so let's just throw that in there. The whole idea here in the beginning is just to get the game working and not necessarily optimized. So we're going to go Pac-Man dies, and then I'm also going to go power up eating, and there that is. Like I said, might change it, might not. Then I'm going to want to get a reference to the sound manager down here inside of my start function. And to do that, I'm just going to go sound manager is equal to game object and find. And then what I can do is just tell it to look specifically for a game object with the name sound manager, and it will search through and it will find all of them, which is extremely useful. And then I just have to go get components. And I know that this is a sound manager, and there that is. That's how easy it is to go and get a reference to the sound manager. Then what I need to do is go and turn the Pac-Man eating sound on and off depending upon if Pac-Man is moving or not. So let's come down here. I think I'm going to do that in the same area that I changed the animations. Here it is, update eating animation. I called that. Where is update eating animation? Yeah, I think I could just come down here and put this inside of here. Like I said, it's a little bit, it's not optimized, but whatever. We just want to make it work. So to make the sounds stop, that's what's going to happen whenever Pac-Man stops. I'm just going to go sound manager and pause Pac-Man and just call that function, and that is going to pause the Pac-Man. Whoops, dot. There we are. And then to restart it, I just need to come down here where I restart the animation and do this, and then we'll change this to unpause Pac-Man. There we go. That's how easy that is. And I think that is all I need to do. Let's go and jump back into Unity and run it and see if it works. Oh, got an error. Sound Manager does not contain a definition for pause Pac-Man. What is wrong with that? What? I thought I called it pause Pac-Man. Ah, I see that it didn't save. See, there's a little star there. You silly thing. So let's go file and save. I don't know, that's some kind of weird quirk. Save all. Now it's saved. Now let's jump back. Error went away. Let's run it. Oh, it started to work. Okay, so what's going on here? We'll figure it out. Well, one thing that came up here while I was doing this is for my Miss Pac-Man that I have right here, I want to make sure that I come in and drag over the proper audio clip. So eating ghost, I definitely want to do that. And Pac-Man dies, drag that over there. And power up eating, drag that over there as well. Oh, I see what dumb thing I did. Select the sound manager and also get your scripts. And there's the sound manager script. And then you're going to grab that and drop it inside of your sound manager like that. And there we go. And then I'm going to go and attach all the different sounds to it. Say, I knew it was something dumb. So let's go and get our sounds and drag them in. So eating dots, drag it right there. Eating ghosts, drag it right there. Ghost move, and Pac-Man dies, and power up eating. And after I do all that and save it and run it, you can now see that Miss Pac-Man is both making sounds and stopping the sounds. All right, so exactly what I was looking for. Next thing I want to do is set up my scoring area. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to go create, and I'm going to go down to UI and text. Come in here and change the name of this to score. And I'm going to put the score in the middle of the screen. I'm going to set up my canvas. So what are we going to do with our canvas? You can see there it is right there. I'm going to set the position. Well, let's look and see what the main camera, 12.5, 14.5. So let's go and get our canvas. Let's set it to 12.5 and 14.5 as well. First off, we're going to come down here and go world space. And then 12.5 and 14.5 looks good. Set our width to about 40, and we will set our height to about 36, something in that area. I'm going to increase the size of my camera here just a little bit. Let's take it up so that I have a little bit more space for fitting my score here at the top. So let's go and try something like 18. Let's go 18 for the size that we have there. Then I'm going to click on my score, and I'm going to position it. Let's try something like 0.5, and then we'll try position Y, something like 16. You can see it's right there. It's real big. Let's set our width to about 40 and our height to about 36. Then we're going to have to scale this guy down quite a bit. So I'm going to scale it very, very small. Let's try something like let's try 0.1 just to start off. So I can just come in here and go 0.1. Go move this out of the way. We're going to change this to 0. We're going to have the alignment be in the center. We're going to change it to bold. We're going to change the color to white, of course. Oh, look at that. Looks pretty good inside of there. And then let's increase the size to, let's try something like 22, and then let's scale it down just a little bit more, and 0.07, something like that, and 0.07, and that looks pretty good, and the text looks pretty good. Let's go and look at it, and the text should be pretty clear, and the text is really, really clear, so I like that. All right, so good stuff. Now what I want to do is go and get all of my dots and check here so all the dots show up on the screen, and I'm going to open this guy up, and then I want to select every single dot that I have, and because now it's going to be time to be able to eat our dots. I'm going to come over here, click add component, physics 2D, and I'm going to use circle colliders, and I'm going to shrink the size down considerably on these. Let's zoom in here just to see how small we want to go. Let's try something like half of what it is by default, so 0.25, and that looks pretty doggone good. So I'm just going to leave it right like that. Another thing I'm going to do is go is trigger, so that when is trigger is called on Miss Pac-Man, then it's going to get the dot and delete it and increase our score. And now I need to open up my Pac-Man script or Miss Pac-Man script and set it up so that Pac-Man can eat some dots. All right, so here we are. So where are we going to want to put that? I think we're going to... let's see here, right after this. So right after it says if hit a wall, inside of this guy is where we are going to check. If you look up through it, this is on trigger enter 2D. So it collided, Pac-Man, Miss Pac-Man collided with a dot. So we want to handle that. So we're going to say if what we collided with is a game object and has a tag that is equal to dot, and we should have that labeled as dot. Let's go verify that just to make sure. So are all these dots labeled as dots? See, tag dot, yes they are. Okay, so we're back inside of here. What do we want to do? I want to call a function that's called a dot was eaten, just to keep that nice and simple, and pass the collider or the dot inside of it. Then what I'm going to do is come right after this guy and put that inside of there. So this isn't going to return anything. It's called a dot was eaten, and it's going to get the collider 2D passed inside of here. Make sure it's collider 2D, not just collider. What this guy's going to do is it's going to call another function called increase text UI score, which is going to increase the text score on our screen. I'm going to create that here in a second. And it's also going to destroy the game object that we just collided with. So there that is, and then we can go and call this guy right here, and it will increase the score on the screen. So we'll go void increase text score. It's not going to receive anything. First off, we have to find the score UI component, and that's a text object. So we'll go text UI component is equal to game object dot finds, and it is called score inside of my hierarchy. And then I just go get components, and like I said, it's a text object. Now that we have that, let's roll this up. I can go and get the string that's stored inside of it, and save it as an integer, so I can increment it. So int score, and I want to change it from a string into an integer. So text UI components, and text is going to give me whatever is inside of it currently, and I'm going to increment the score by 10, and then I want to resave it into the text component that has my score inside of it. So then I just go text is equal to whatever the score is, and then I need to change that to string. All right, so super awesome. All that stuff we did. Let's go test and see if it worked. All right, so let's come in here and run it. And here is Miss Pac-Man, and as you can see, she's eating up all of her pills, and the scores are updating, and everything is looking awesome. And like always, please leave your questions and comments below. Otherwise, till next time.